At a small shelter, a pregnant stray named Daisy went into labor. Volunteers gathered with joy, expecting the first cries of puppies. But when the vet lifted the newborn, his face turned pale. He stumbled back, shouting in shock, "That's not a puppy." What followed stunned everyone. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. In 2020, on the outskirts of a small Texas town, a passerby noticed a thin German shepherd wandering along the roadside. Her belly sagged heavily, swaying with each weary step, clear proof she was pregnant and due any day. The woman who found her couldn't look away. Leaving her there meant certain tragedy. Within the hour, the frightened dog was brought to the local animal shelter. The staff, though already stretched thin with overcrowded kennels, welcomed her with gentle hands. They gave her a warm corner, fresh water, and whispered promises of safety. Yet behind their kindness lingered worry. A heavily pregnant stray was not an easy case. No one knew her medical history, how many pups she carried, or whether she would survive the coming labor. Still, the staff hoped for a smooth delivery, unaware that this dog's story would soon shock them beyond anything they had ever seen. The shelter was quiet that evening, the usual chorus of barks fading as the dog settled into uneasy sleep. But in the corner, the pregnant German shepherd paced restlessly, circling her blankets, panting heavily. Something was happening. Her time had come. A volunteer quickly called the on-duty veterinarian, who rushed in with a small medical kit. Blankets were laid out, clean towels stacked nearby, and bowls of warm water prepared. The staff gathered silently, their nervous eyes shifting between the restless mother and the clock on the wall. The dog whined, lying down only to rise again moments later. Her contractions were visible now, her muscles tightening as nature pushed her forward into the most vulnerable moment of her life. Everyone expected the night to end with the tiny cries of newborn puppies. But as the minutes ticked by, no one realized that the first birth would bring not joy, but a shocking discovery that none of them could forget. The shelter room grew tense as the mother finally lay down, her body trembling with effort. A low whimper escaped her throat as the first contraction surged through. The staff leaned closer, offering quiet words of encouragement, while the vet prepared sterile gloves and a towel. Minutes stretched painfully long until, at last, the mother gave a final push. A tiny, slick form slipped onto the blanket. 4. A heartbeat. Everyone sighed with relief. The first puppy had arrived. But as the vet lifted the newborn carefully, relief turned into unease. The creature was small, fragile, but something wasn't right. Its skin looked bare, wrinkled like old paper, with no trace of fur. Its ears seemed larger than normal, its face oddly shaped. The room fell silent. The mother instinctively reached to lick her newborn, but the staff exchanged nervous glances. Something about this newborn felt unlike anything they had seen before. The vet froze, staring down at the tiny creature in his hands. His face drained of color, and for a moment, he didn't breathe. Then, with a voice trembling louder than he intended, he cried out, "That's not a puppy." Gasps erupted from the staff. Volunteers clutched at their mouths, eyes wide with disbelief. The shelter, moments ago filled with tense hope, was now buzzing with panic. The newborn squirmed weakly, its small body slick and hairless, its features strange and unsettling. The mother whined, pawing gently at the towel as if begging for her baby back. The staff exchanged frantic whispers. What did he mean? If this wasn't a puppy, then what was it? The vet's hands shook as he placed the newborn under the warming lamp. His voice dropped low, heavy with fear. "We need to talk." The room was thick with silence, broken only by the newborn's faint squeaks. The vet leaned closer, inspecting its tiny body under the harsh fluorescent light. His brows furrowed, his gloved fingers tracing its bare, wrinkled skin. "This isn't a normal puppy," he murmured, his voice low but firm. The staff leaned in, their eyes darting nervously between him and the mother dog, who whimpered anxiously for her baby. One volunteer whispered, "Is it deformed?" Another shook their head, too stunned to speak. The vet sighed heavily. "Not deformed. Different." He explained that the pup had been born with a rare genetic condition, one that caused its hairless, unusual appearance. Its chances of survival were slim. Without constant care, it might not make it through the night. The staff exchanged worried looks. Fear mixed with compassion as they realized the weight of the decision before them. The mother, however, had no doubts. She stretched her neck and licked the strange little newborn tenderly, claiming it as her own. The vet's words sent ripples of unease through the room. Some of the staff took a cautious step back, whispering nervously. "What if it's sick?" one asked. Another muttered, "Should we even let it live?" Fear clouded their judgment, but no one could ignore the tiny cries filling the air. Meanwhile, the mother dog continued her labor, pushing out more pups, healthy, fur-covered, and normal. The contrast was striking. 6 tiny puppies wriggled beside their unusual sibling, yet all the mother cared about was keeping them close. She curled her body protectively around the litter, nudging the strange newborn into place, as if to say, "You belong here too." The staff stood divided, half filled with compassion, the other half frozen by uncertainty. But even as arguments stirred, one truth became clear. This fragile, strange little creature was alive, and it was fighting to stay that way. The shelter director folded her arms, her voice heavy with hesitation. "If it won't survive, maybe its kinder too." She couldn't finish the sentence. The thought hung in the air like a dark cloud. Several staff members nodded quietly, unable to face the responsibility of a life so fragile. But the vet stepped forward, his eyes fierce. "No, every life deserves a chance. Look at it. It's breathing, it's fighting. We can't turn our backs now." His conviction silenced the room. He gently placed the hairless newborn into a small incubator, adjusting the temperature with steady hands. "We'll give it warmth, nutrition, and oxygen if needed. That's our duty." The mother dog, sensing the tension, whined and pressed against the glass of the incubator, her nose fogging the surface. Her loyalty was unwavering. The staff exchanged glances. For the first time that night, fear shifted into resolve. They would fight for this strange little life, no matter the odds. The night stretched endlessly as the tiny newborn fought to survive. Its breaths were shallow, chest rising and falling with fragile effort. The vet hovered close, checking vitals. Every few minutes, while volunteers took turns sitting by the incubator, their eyes heavy but determined not to leave it alone. A feeding tube was gently placed, delivering drops of warm formula into its stomach. Still, the pup's body trembled with weakness. Each sound it made was a faint squeak, almost too quiet to hear over the hum of the machines. Meanwhile, the mother dog whimpered softly, pressing against the glass, refusing to rest while one of her babies remained apart from her. "Stay with us," whispered a young volunteer, her hand resting on the incubator. Hours passed in anxious silence. Every small breath felt like a victory, every flicker of movement a sign of hope. By dawn, exhaustion covered the room, but so did a fragile, growing sense of possibility. As the first light of dawn streamed through the shelter windows, the newborn stirred. Its frail body shifted, letting out a louder squeak than before. The vet leaned closer, his eyes widening. "It's stronger," he whispered, relief breaking through his exhaustion. Carefully, he lifted the pup from the incubator and placed it beside its mother. For a moment, the staff held their breath, unsure if she would accept it. But without hesitation, the mother leaned down, licking the strange little body with gentle devotion. The pup nuzzled weakly into her warmth, finding the rhythm of her heartbeat. The vet turned to the staff, his voice steady now. "This is a puppy. It was simply born with an extremely rare genetic skin disorder. That's why it looks so unusual." Gasps filled the room, followed by quiet tears. What it seemed like a curse only hours before was now a miracle, proof that even the most fragile life could defy expectations when given a chance.